At what point will leadership exemplify effective skills of information technology, decision-making, cultural awareness, and compassion to inclusively embrace Benton Harbor residents and love them to successful living together? I repeat. At what point will leadership exemplify effective skills of information technology, decision-making, cultural awareness, and compassion to inclusively embrace Benton Harbor residents and love them to successful living together? Mr. Bowman.
That's one of those gotcha questions. That's a good question. I think being effective, I think you would have to be, as I said, I keep on questioning innovative. We have to, the ideas, the ways that we weren't working, we have to create new ideas, new ways, communicating, whether it's with our local newspaper, the Benton Spirit, Herculating, Facebook, whatever we have to do to get the word out, and we have to lead by example.
Well, Benton Harbor is and should be a city for all people. So, being a city for all people will benefit from being in the city. But again, one of my primary goals is to speak for our residents, and particularly the residents of Ward 1, and to look out for their interests. And so I think that needs to be paramount in any of our decision makings. The people of Benton Harbor's interests and needs need to be addressed.
That's a long question, difficult one to answer, but I would say at the point that our commission starts to effectively legislate and do what we put them in office to do, which is their job, to take care of the city's business. Once we do that, then we can take care of the other things, but we have to have some primary basic goals to effectively run this city.
I'm going to note for the audience member who wrote the question that begins, the big elephant in the room is the economy. I think your question was answered by the earlier question regarding the growth of the city of Benton Harbor. So I do want to acknowledge it, but I think your question was essentially answered by the candidates. The question that I have in my hand is, if you're elected, what is your first step to make our community safe? And I'm going to add on to that the question, how safe is the community currently, in your opinion? But the audience member has asked, what is your first step to make the community safe or safer? Mr. Gill, I believe.
Gill.
You led off last time, right? So, Mr. Gill, would you lead off?
I think a safe community is one that has the proper law enforcement, that the laws are enforced in the city, that the ordinance in the city, ordinances are enforced, that we have safe, we have the right amount of firefighters who effectively run the calls and do their jobs.
I'll say I do think our city is fairly safe. There are some areas that have had high crime in them and large amount of burglaries in them. But I think the word safe encompasses not just policing and firing, the fire department, but I think it also speaks to street light, the proper street lighting, alleyways, safe routes to schools for children, our seniors being looked out for and cared about with the neighborhood watch programs and things of that nature. So I think that word safe encompasses more than just fire and safety.
I think Benton Harbor is safe. If I'm correct, I could be wrong, but in the year of 2011 so far, we have not had any deaths due to violence. In fact, Joe Harris is even telling the county we don't need them anymore because our crime is low. But we do need a top-notch police department. We do need a fire department, public safety department that's working to its full potential. But it also takes the residents of being inclusive and being involved in, reporting and also training up and, see if you see something reported, let people know and everything. That's what I think it needs to be done.
Mr. Gill, one part of the question was how safe is the city currently, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to that part of it.
I didn't realize I missed it after I concluded. I don't think the city is as safe as it should be or could be. I work in law enforcement, and it has gotten to the point where citizens are calling, and Benton Harbor is receiving a lot of calls where citizens are saying there's a gun involved or there's a knife involved. And the reason they're saying there's a gun or knife involved when there isn't is because they know if they say that when they call, that they will get a quicker response from the law enforcement. Because they're not getting the response that they need, because the officers are most often there's only 2 squad cars on patrol, and they're going from call to call to call. There isn't effective traffic enforcement or traffic safety, where on my street alone, there are cars going 60, 70 miles an hour down Pipestone. It's a 25-mile-an-hour street. And so that's why I brought the question as far as issue with regard to police and fire.
Thank you.
My question is, did you know that Public Act 4 states that the EM can give authority to the commission at any time? Why do you think he has not given authority back to this commission? Mr. Bowman.
That's a great question. I actually been an avid studier of Public Act 4. I think some voices of the status quo have been advising our EFM. I think the commissioners, I think it goes on both ends. Joe Harris came here for a reason. Benton Harbor had a problem. Our commissioners understand that we had a problem. However, that impasse, I guess, agreeing or not working together, or 2-3 people agree not to work. I think what needs to happen is it needs to be unity. Once he sees all the commissioners coming to meetings that the voters elected them to do and everything, taking a stand and listening and being involved with their citizens, interacting, and seeing government work at best, then he'll probably restore the power. But I don't think he's seen any of our government leaders working together. I'd say he's only seen a few.
I agree to a certain extent with Trent. I think that the city still hasn't proven that it is a unit. I think there's divisive politics at play that has still, they still haven't proven that they are willing to work together to actually run this city the way it needs to be run. And so I believe that that is the reason why, he still has not turned it over. And I think rightfully so. I think at this point, the commission needs to prove that it is able to do so at this point. Thank you.
I also agree that I believe that's the reason why power has not been returned to the current commissioner, because there has not been any working together to legislate and do their job that they're there to do.
My first question is for Mr. Gill, and the next question will be for all. And this audience member asks, Mr. Gill, a few years ago you had a well-publicized anger issue. It says City Hall is often full of heated debates and difficult personalities. Do you think you will be able to work in a bipartisan manner with all of the elected officials?
I'm here because I believe I can work with the other commissioners if given the opportunity to represent the citizens of Benton Harbor.
Thank you. And a question for all is, this is another question from the audience. Do you think inmates deserve another chance in society, and what would you do to help them?
Absolutely. I think anybody who has served time and has paid their dues and their debt to society, absolutely, they have a right to actually come back and reestablish themselves in our community as productive citizens. And I think productive citizens is the key word. But to help them, and I'll go back to Section 8, the Section 3 HUD Housing Act, where we could actually create, working with Michigan Works employment programs to actually put them to work on some of the projects with the local contractors who would hire offenders and that kind of thing to actually work in some of these businesses. So yes, I think that they do have a right to re-enter our society and be productive citizens. Thank you.
I do believe in second chances. It's actually many organizations out there that help prisoners that are getting out of jail back on their feet. I think we have at Michigan Works the Michigan Prison Reentry Program, and then we have KPEC and the Opportunity Center. So it's many resources. I don't think they're advertised well, but it's many resources. I do believe in giving them a second chance, however.
I also believe that everyone deserves a second chance, and if once you do your time and you pay your dues, then they should get a second opportunity or a third.
We have one more round of questions, and we're going to try to be expeditious. The first question I have is for Mr. Bones. It says, Benton Harbor history. Do you know the first and second African-American mayors, and what about the first commissioners?
That's one of those Jeopardy questions, but I think it's, from my studying, I know Charles Joseph was our first African-American mayor, and if I'm correct, I think Mayor Wilson Cook was the second African-American mayor, and Commissioner Lulalee, correct, Honorable Commissioner Lulalee, former Commissioner Lulalee.
Thank you. The question for all of you, it's actually two that are similar. Asking about what are you going to do about getting people jobs, and how would you correct this primary concern of getting jobs? What are you going to do about getting people jobs, and what will you do to correct the fact that there aren't any jobs as a primary concern?
Well, we can't get people jobs. I mean, that is a misconception that a lot of people have, that the commission can give people jobs, and anybody that has been saying that is lying. There's nothing, we don't provide jobs. We provide opportunity and opportunities for job creation. And I stated earlier that I think that small businesses is the lifeblood in any community. And so if we don't have local businesses who will hire our local folks, then there will be no jobs and there will be no opportunities. So I think that in order to create a sustainable workforce and jobs in the city, you have to support our local businesses. And again, I'll go back to HUD, Section 3, is able to do that within those confines and those restraints of that, and even going outside of that. So through local businesses, through local businesses. Thank you.
That is a great question. As Ms. Henderson said, that is one of the biggest misconceptions. City government creates jobs. In Washington, D.C. and Lansing, they create jobs. But we create that atmosphere. And what we needed to do was be innovative, as I stated. We should have created a marketing plan. We have all of these training programs. We have workforce development, Michigan Works, the Opportunity Center, Youth Build. Our people have skills, but we haven't promoted our people to other communities. We haven't went to Detroit. We haven't went to Atlanta. We haven't went to Washington, D.C. and create a package saying, this is Benton Harbor's the place to grow, invest, and relocate. Benton Harbor can do that. And when I'm commissioner, that's what I intend to do. Thank you.
I believe that every business, small or large, are important to the community. It's not the commissioners, again, I agree with what the other panelists have said, that it is not the job of the commission to create jobs, but create the atmosphere that we have businesses wanting to come to our community